time ago. I'm thinking, that wasn't that long ago. But anyway, 1982 is when I was at home on my sofa. And, I had heard about salvation and all of that. And I heard about New Year's resolutions, but I had never made a New Year's resolution before. So I said, God, this day, for the rest of my life, I will serve you. Now, in my way, in my own way, that was my way of dedicating my life to God. That was my way of getting saved, although I had talked to Susie Green before, and she kind of walked me through some things. But that day, I dedicated my life to Christ. And I'm so glad my life was totally different after that, and for the better. And I appreciate God for hearing my cry that day, New Year's Eve, 1982. Okay, so it's on you.
Amen. I'd like to thank God for being saved this evening, and thank God for keeping me down through another year. I don't take anything that God has done for me for granted at all. I appreciate how this year I had a situation, and the enemy's design was to make me bitter.
Come on.
And sometimes those kind of situations, they linger, you know what I mean? And I came to church and I testified, I ran around the church and defeat the devil, but that wasn't enough for him, So that was, I knew, like the Bible says, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. I knew it was bigger than the loss I took. The devil wanted me to be bitter.
Come on.
And I was determined, by the grace of God, not to let that happen.
Yes.
Many times in the scripture, Jesus would rebuke the disciples and say, you know not what spirit you are. The Bible says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Realizing we can claim salvation, we can attend 140, we could be under the pastor, but if our spirit ain't right, there's no foreign spirit that's going to get into heaven. I can't allow no foreign spirit to attach to me in any shape, form, because it doesn't matter what we declare to the people. God will judge us. And there can be nothing of it that's not of him. I thank God for the services down in Springfield, because it helped me the moment I left out the moment I left out of the service. The very next situation I ran into, my mind went to, when nothing, take your testimony. Keep your testimony intact. Any ground that God has given you, fight for it. Don't back up one step. Anything that God has given you. That's what I'm declaring going into the new year. Every ground that God has given you, no matter what the price, no matter what, I'm not backing up one step on what God has given you. Need the saints' prayer. Appreciate you all. God bless you. Amen.
I thank God for my salvation. I thank God for saving my soul. Praise God, He saved me.
What a year, brother. What a year, Brother Marshall. What a year. Thank the Lord. Thank you.
I'll be that way all the way through 2020.
Amen.
Saved me for a reason.
My Lord.
And I'm gonna follow it through. And I still want you to pray for my children. I want them to join this church here, where they can get something out of the Church of God, the real thing. And I want to see it all in Sunday school. The one needs to be there. And I give all honor and thanks in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Pray for me too. I can use it.
I thank the Lord tonight for salvation. I thank God for keeping me saved through another year. Christmas of 1969, at the age of 10 years old, at home, at a family devotion, I gave my life to God. And you've heard me say it before, But my mother, she said, Cena, you gotta make a vow to God. And you let him know that you're gonna live for him the rest of your life. That was 50 years ago. I didn't know all the toss and turns of life. I didn't know all the things that I would face, what would come my way, what I would go through. But I thank God for the keeping power of God. Sister Humphrey, an old saint from my other church on High Street, she would get up in church and she would say, I'm so glad the devil's mad. He missed a soul he thought he had. And tonight I can say that. Saints, pray for me. I'm determined by the grace of God to keep everything intact. You know, on Christmas, around the time that I had got saved, because it was in the evening, a family devotion. After that evening, in my dad's home, I have a picture up of my mother and my father. And that night before I retired, I went to that picture. And I talked to them about that picture, and I let them know. I said, Mom, Dad, you were the best example of how to walk and live this life. And by the grace of God, I can't fill your shoes. I can't do that. But I will follow the example. With everything in my soul, I need to die. Every I cross, every T, to stand on the word of God. Truth cannot waver. Truth does not change. And by his grace, I mean to be the same way.
I want to thank God for my salvation. Appreciate God for his faithfulness and his mercies unto me. I thank God for the church of God, for the saints of God. And my saying that I say now to myself, walking through these doors, ain't nothing magic gonna happen to your spirit just because you walk in these doors. And I would tell myself, stay on the other side. Your life that you live before God starts in your home. And I judge myself by the way I live my life in my home. And I thank God that it's been a battle, but it's been a good battle. It's been a battle that I know that I can win. I thank God that I know that I'm on the winning side. I thank God that he gave me the perfect husband for me. I thank God that the devil can't tear down what God has put together, because we are determined to keep him out. God has been so good and faithful to me. Who would have thought me going on a cruise? I mean, who would have thought that? I mean, I'm 71 years old. Who would have thought, all down to you. But I'm grateful for that experience. I'm thankful that my husband took me on a cruise. I appreciate God for his mercy. I'm just elated. For this truth, I'm elated. The service this morning was just awesome. I mean, it's so clear, so sweet and precious. It's life. It's our hope. I ain't got the words. I mean, I don't have the words to express how I feel about this gospel and how God blessed me and brought me here. Even in my failures, he's a God of second chances. Yeah. I'm just so thankful that the grace that he's bestowed upon me is not in vain, because the thought comes to me, don't give up on prayer or give into despair. Could be the answer's going to come today. That keeps me on my knees. Prayer is my answer. If I can keep that vein open for God to hear my prayers, I know I can make it. I'm so grateful for the service this morning. It was just another key. It was just another key to victory. It's another key to just going forward. And I'm so thankful that even the enemy wanted me just to look at things a certain way, but unfairly and all of that. But God has blessed me this day. He has blessed me this day, and I am declaring my victory in Zion. I am declaring my sanctification. I am declaring faith in His truth. I am declaring that God is God and He's real and there's nothing too hard for Him. I want to thank God how He blessed my husband on his job. I mean, what he went through was just so excruciating. But God ought to do it. The enemy wanted him to fight and defend himself, but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. I am so thankful to me. That reminds me of Pastor Hampton. That's an earmark. That's an earmark of holiness. It's don't fight your own battles. And I am so grateful. I see that in him, and he is just precious. I thank God for him. I want to say to pray for him, pray for me, and pray for us. Because by the grace of God, we're going to make heaven. We're going to make heaven. Yeah, by the grace of God. That's my goal, to see us together on the same page, praying, doing it just like God wants to do it. Loving one another, respecting one another, and sister love, make sure you reverence your husband, all of that. I want the saints of God to just hold us up. Pray for me. I am so encouraged to live with God.
Thank you.
I would like to thank God for my salvation.
My Lord.
So I'm going to take it back a little bit and just show you how far God has taken me. I came back to Jackson a couple years ago. I was living out west, and I did a lot of wrong to myself. I was trying to heal myself the best way I knew. I was as far away from God as you could possibly get. I got seriously sick, and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I have type 1 diabetes, so that complicated it even more. And God pulled me through that situation. I mean, it was as dark as it could be. I was not the person I am today. I mean, we're talking darkness. The play with Desiree, played by Shalina, that was my story. I mean, I should not be here. And then just a member of the church, the innocence of inviting me to a church play 3 years ago, I didn't think at the time, I didn't want to be seen by anyone. I was filled with so much shame and guilt and darkness. You guys remember, my hair was down here. What I was doing was I was covering up myself. I did not want to be seen. That night, 3 years ago, almost to the day, I gave my life to God, and it opened up so many doors. It's remarkable. God pulled me through so much. And what it did, as I was like, in the way the church received me, so much love, I didn't know I had that in me. The way I was hearing congratulations. To me, what I did, and I just thank God, I thank God for this church. It has been so good to me. This year, I've gone through a lot, but I kept coming to service, just being around the saints, just prayer, finding the right support system. This is the way we sow our seeds. So I just want to thank God. This year has been tremendous. Now I get to be a part of the play. So it's just amazing how God works. So thank you, God.
I want to thank God for what He's been doing for me.
Yes.
As we come to the end of the year, I've just been doing a lot of reflecting, and you couldn't have told me at the beginning of the year that I would face everything that I had to face this year. But although it's been one of the most challenging years for me, it has also been one of the most rewarding. And how God has been just like so faithful to me, and how He showed Himself this year to me in ways that I never knew would be possible. It would be like little situations and things that would come. And a lot of times you would think like, okay, I'm going to pray about this, I got to wait and, see what God's going to do. But He would come through, and it seems like a moment's time. And it wouldn't be a long, drawn out thing. And even, it seemed like midway through the year, it was like another situation happened, and God just helped me through that. And most of all, it was just Him just letting me know, like, just trust me. I got you. I'll bring you through if you just trust me. And I was thinking of the scripture in Psalms 94. A couple of the verses stood out to me. On verse 14, it says, verse 9. He that planted the ear, shall he not hear? He that formed the eyes, shall he not see? Verse 14 says, for the Lord will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. And it just let me know, like, do you think that, God was just letting me know, like, do you think that I don't hear and that I don't see everything that's going on? And He just let me know that if you just hold on, I got you. Let me carry you. Like, you don't have to figure it all out on your own. And I just thank God so much. There's no way that I seriously can't imagine life without salvation. I'm like, I don't know how I would live. Like, I seriously, I know it wouldn't be good, but I seriously thank God so much. I thank God for the saints. You all have been amazing. Just let me know that you're praying for me. The texts that come through, like even me, like I'll check my mom's phone every few days and just see the outpouring love of the saints. And I thank you all so much. And I know for sure my mom appreciates it. She thanks you all. Please continue to hold us up in your prayers. I believe that God has a lot of great things in 2020 for our family.
Yes.
Even for the saints.
Mama, yes.
Well, thank God tonight for being saved. Thank God for sanctification. Really appreciate the messages that have went forth. Really has been challenging to me, and it's really been good. And I want the saints to know that I'm measuring to all of it. I appreciate the saints and their prayers. Continue to remember me in your prayers.
I refuse to sit down. And
thank the Lord.
Oh.
Yes. Bless everybody.
Amen.
It's all right.
I thank God for my salvation. I thank God for the opportunity that He's given me to be saved, the mind to be saved.
Thank the Lord.
I got saved in February 15th. It was a Friday night, and I remember I never thought I would see myself just getting on my knees that day. Me and my parents were having a normal discussion, just talking about stuff and decisions, and there's something that my mom had asked me, and basically it had me thinking like, what's holding me back from getting saved? And at first I was like, oh, it's probably, things that weren't really the exact thing that was really holding me back. And once I said it, I felt like I didn't have the strength to keep my salvation. I didn't have the strength to fight the devil. And when that Friday night, when I finally said that, it was like a breaking point. It was like I called out what was holding me back, the fear. And as we went into the living room, my mom started praying, and I don't know if you've heard this before, but my mom kind of like gave my testimony when I announced I was saved. But when my mom started praying, we went into the living room because she knew I was having conviction. My mom started praying, and as she was praying, it was like God knew I needed a push, and so I just heard a door slam. I heard a door slam, like God shutting the doors on me. And it was
My Lord.
it was the loneliness that I felt, no purpose in life, a feeling nobody wants to feel. And as my mom got done praying, she asked me, she was like, do you want to pray? And basically when she asked me that, it was like, do you want to pray to get saved? So then as I started saying yes, as I said yes, and I started praying, I kept hearing a door open. And I heard it at first, I heard somebody whispering like, I'm here. And it started getting louder. The more I started to pray, the more I started to open up. And ever since that day, it wasn't even probably a few weeks after, my mom went through what she went through with her trial. She went through postpartum depression, and it was like I didn't really have a time to really just like be able to build my foundation, but it was like he used that to be the start of my foundation, like the start of me building my foundation. And I thank God for what He's brought me through. I thank God that I have a mind to be saved. In a million years, I would have ever seen myself where I'm at right now. And I know it's because of God. It's because of what He's done in my life.
Praise.
And I know that the next step for me is sanctification, and I want to be able to meet God's desires for me.
Thank God.
I want to thank God tonight for His many works to us. I'd like to thank God tonight for everything that He has done for me. I want to forget the different things that God did for me, so I wrote a list, but this list is nothing compared to what all these different things that God did for me. And first of all, I want to thank God because God gave us a pastor after God's own heart. I want to thank God because we are very privileged, and I feel honored that not only is Brother Lee our pastor, but he's also a friend of my family, and I really appreciate him and his wife and children. And this year, like all years, the enemy tried to destroy us, but we're here, we're together as a church family, and that's a blessing. I want to thank God how He helped me to keep the children at Jackson Christian School. Every year is very challenging. Financially, it's not easy because we sacrifice a lot. We go without a lot, but that's a desire that I have in my heart, and the Lord helped us every year, and this year was no different. He supplied our needs. He kept us together as a family. He inspired my faith through Brother Mark's message about there is a hope to go get Jessica, and the Lord helped me to get the courage that I needed to do that. Brother Lee had already told me to do that, but I guess I didn't have the strength or the faith to go, but the Lord inspired our faith, and we were able to go get her, and the Lord brought Jessica home. That's another thing that the Lord did. God also healed baby Amos, and I remember when baby Amos was born, and they said they had it breathing, and they had the oxygen, artificial oxygen, and they were taking him to Detroit. And Brother Lee told me, he said, I am praying that he is healed by the time he gets to Detroit. And when I got to Detroit, I didn't even realize until the doctor mentioned something. He was no longer in artificial oxygen. So basically, we stayed a whole week in the hospital, but the baby was already healed because all the test came back negative for any brain injuries. And that was nothing but the Lord and the saints' prayers. And I hated that I had to bother Brother Lee because he was in Georgia at the moment. But the saints went into, it got a burden to pray for us for that innocent child. And the Lord touched his body. And another thing that the Lord did for me, he allowed me to go back to Mexico several times this year and come back home safely. And I thank God for the work that is starting in Mexico City by faith. I also thank God for opening a door to recover my mom's house back. I want to thank God because he brought Brother Lawrence from Kenya. That was our desire for him to be here. I want to thank God for the legacy of our pastor, that by the grace of God we need to keep. I want to thank God for keeping our vision intact as far as the Church of God is concerned. I want to thank God for you guys, for each and every one of you. I wanted to start saying names, but that would be wrong because then I would be here all night because each one of you is very special to me. Each one of you. I was thinking about Sister Love and Sister Ella and different ones and the different young people. Then I'm like, I'm just going to take over the service, but I don't want to do that. Each one of you guys is very, very special to me. The children even more than the adults. I love them with all my heart. And I want to thank God for bringing Sister Jasmine here and her husband this year. They are very special to me. I adopted them in my heart too. And I think it's very special what the Lord did in bringing them here. I want to thank God how he touched my friend, Sister Shelley, in her body this year. That was amazing from the Lord to do. And last but not least, for my amazing husband, por mi esposo maravilloso. I want to thank God because all the things that the Lord helps us accomplish, I wouldn't be able to do it without his support. He doesn't bother me, he doesn't stress me, él no me molesta, no me estresa para nada. Él es lo mejor que le ha sucedido a mi vida. He really is the best that has happened to my life after salvation. My life is amazing. Every single day in my marriage is amazing. I always hear people say, there is no perfect marriage. I don't know what you're all talking about. Because my husband is amazing and he is the best. And he really makes my life a joy. And I thank God because it would have been really bad to have a terrible childhood and then go into a terrible marriage. And it's like God said, no. I'm an equalizer. So I want to thank God because of his support, because he can sacrifice so much for us. Y te amo con todo mi corazón, mi amor. I love you with all my heart. You know that. And I want to thank God again this year because we hear the enemy try to destroy us, and we're here together by the grace of God, where I want to be, like I was telling my husband on the way here, there's nowhere else that I want to be on New Year's Eve than in the Church of God. I'm 140 West South Street. There's years that have been, I spend it with my family in Florida, but I suffer because this is where I want to be. Because, you can have siblings and you can have family, but really, because sometimes your family either dies or move or whatever, but you really need friends. Friends are there for you, and you guys are my friends, and I love you with all my heart.
What a year.
I'd like to thank God for my salvation. Thank the Lord. Thank God for this keeping us throughout this year. Thank you for keeping me.
I thank him for keeping me saved this year.
Thank the Lord.
I thank him for helping me and traveling the road to be here another year. Thank him for keeping me saved, the only one saved in my household. And I thank God for his help this year, for his healing, for keeping my mind, for helping me with my children. When they're little and you kind of want them to grow up, all of that is good. But the decisions that some of these children has made, it wasn't that bad when they was little after all. They can go back to being little again. But God has helped me, and he has kept my mind, and he has helped them through prayer. They have faced situations that God has undertook for them as well. Just thank him for his divine protection and providing and just answering prayers. The enemy, like others have said, has come to try to destroy me. But God has kept me. I told God I wanted to be saved for the rest of my life, and I mean that despite what the enemy brings against me, and I want to be saved with all my heart. And I thank God for his faithfulness unto me, helping me time and time again, answering prayers. Just appreciate God so much. Thank him for bringing, I remember just a few years ago, before Sister Dwnld got saved, it was just me and my children traveling by ourselves. There was nobody else in Detroit really, but me and my children. He sent me a friend. I appreciate God for that so much. Dwnld is a special friend. Then he sent Stacy. Just appreciate, we have a few of us there now. Thank God for that. I just appreciate that. I continue to remember.
Praise God.
Malo, what do you hear? What do you hear, please? Malo.
I thank God for my salvation and for all that he's done for me and for all the prayers he answered for me. I remember when I wasn't saved and my granny would talk about salvation and I would just be like, is she really talking about this again? But then I would be listening to her. And then one time when I came Easter, I got saved and God has been blessing me. I thank him for all that he's done for me.
Yes, thank the Lord.
I like to thank God for my salvation.
Praise God.
I got saved October 7, 2018, and he has kept me all this long time, and I think it's a long time because for me, it's a long time. So I really thank God for keeping me, and I got sanctified this year, and I thank him for that. I've asked God a lot to be used in whatever way he wants, and I got to labor in ways I didn't think I was able. So I'm very grateful to have the experience that I had. And I wanted to say something about what happened with the human trafficking thing. I just really thank God for keeping me. It's so many people that disappear and don't come back, and I was able to, get away or whatever was happening, I was able to detect what was going on and get away. I just thank God for keeping me safe. He's been keeping me safe from a lot of things like that I could have, been either dead or taken away or something. And I had my daughter with me. I just thank God. He really has keeping grace. He's really faithful. He gave me grace for a lot of situations that I've had. And some of the saints know here that I've had to fight this year like so hard. Like I've had to fight. I've had situations back to back to back to back that a person my age would be like, listen, I'm not doing this. But I really had you guys praying for me. It really helps. It really helps. When you tell the person like I'm praying for you, that really helps because somebody else cared, So I just want to thank God for that. I want to thank God for bringing me here. I've never known the church to live the Bible until I came here. The churches I used to go to, I didn't really like it because I didn't really feel anything. I would just go because that was the thing to do. And now I come to get my soul fed, and I come to just hear a word from God. I just thank God for everything because I feel real different. My life has changed in a major way, and I just like to thank God for that.
Amen.
I want to thank God for my salvation.
Thank the Lord.
Going into 2020, I'm thankful that I'm saved. 2019 came with some blows. Somebody got hit. I didn't get knocked out. For that, this year, I have a greater appreciation for truth.
Thank God.
Just going over things with my husband and talking to him and studying together. God has shown me the church.
Glory to God.
More importantly, I am so thankful that I'm not in false religion
Thank
anymore.
Praise God. Thank you.
This year, God has done so much for me. There's a verse in the song Reformation Glory. It says, I'm not going to sing it. When the voice from heaven sounded, warning ought to flee from the darksome courts of Babel back to Zion free. Glad my heart to hear the message. I hasten to obey, and I'm standing in the truth today. I am so thankful that I was obedient to God when He told me to come out. I didn't know how it was going to work out. I knew my life was going to change, but I didn't know how God was going to put everything together, but He did it for me. And that is one of the greatest decisions that I've ever made in my life. It's like, I love my husband, I love my children, but the greatest decision that I've made is when God called me out, I obeyed. And I'm thankful for that. And so going into 2020, I'm just thankful for salvation. I'm thankful for truth. It is my desire to live for God, to be the wife, the mother, everything that I'm supposed to be for God.
What do you
I want to take this opportunity. I don't want to let the opportunity to give God thanks go by. Truly, I'm grateful to be saved. I was sitting there thinking, I came in this year saved, and I'm going out saved. And I just, you know, the highs, maybe things you don't expect, the highs come, maybe some low things come. But just to say, you did not give me. And I thank God. I'm just so grateful. I think about how I'm going on, I've met 13 years of salvation. I'm going into 14 years. And it's amazing because I wasn't a churchy person. I wasn't somebody that knew the Bible. I probably didn't even pray over my food before I got saved. I just was that disconnected. But I thank God that He could take me, somebody that, I mean, I just went to church on occasion, holidays, but I knew that I knew that I wanted to be real. I always wanted to be a genuine person, and I just appreciate how God took me, and it's been some mountains to climb, but every mountain has allowed me to stay where I'm at, because if I didn't have those mountains to climb, some things would have came and I would have been just right with the tide. Oh, I can't do it no more. I can't go no further. But there is no turning in me. I can't see the world. It's just not, I don't have it. But I just thank God. It took a lot of painful things to come, and you to settle some things in your heart and say, God, it just came, but I'm not moving. And he had to take me there. But I just thank God. He's such a provider for me, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially. He just provides for me. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I just continue to hold me in, because I want to keep that mind that I have. That message this morning was just a blessing to go out for this year. Just some things I said, Lord, I don't want to take these things with me into 2020. I just don't want to. And one of the things I said, Lord, I don't want to take unbelief into 2020. I don't want to waver in faith in 2020. It's like we leaving that behind. Just leave certain things behind in 2019. I just continue to pray for me. I'm so grateful to be saved. I want to thank God. First of all, I want to thank God I want to thank God for how he's kept my mind. Many tests, many battles, many trials, many afflictions, many things we've gone through. But you hear me saying that a lot. I want to thank God for keeping my mind. When I look out there in the world and people go through basically one of the things that we've been through in our lives, they're on medication, they're all strung out on drugs, they smoking cigarette after cigarette, they drinking and all of that. But God has kept our minds. This battle is hot, it's fierce, but God has kept us afloat in the midst of the storm. God kept us afloat. It was like I said this morning, no goodness of ourselves, God has kept us, and I appreciate that. We came in with our testimony in 2:19, and Father, we can leave that there today. 1 into 2:20, we yet have a testimony. We yet have a testimony. Some people can testify high at the beginning, but as the end comes, they're quieted. But my God, God has kept my voice throughout this year, and I appreciate God for that. I am so grateful how he brought Brother White through. I'm so glad how he's helped me with Demira. I'm thanking God for Byron, how he's helping Byron. Shalonda's going through the valley. I mean, she's going through low, but God is helping me through that. God has helped Brother White and myself through financial situations. Just so many things he's helped us. Thank God for Brother White. He's my friend. I appreciate that. I appreciate how God has put us together with the love that came from God. You know, a lot of times you can't go into a lot of things, but God is God tonight. I want to thank God so much for that. I thank God how he's been our lawyer. He's been a judge. He's been a healer. He's been a counselor. He's been one to dry the tears at night. God has been throughout this year for me. And I appreciate God so much for all. I heard my testimony down through the years, so we don't have to reiterate on all those different things, but we want you to know we came in with our testimony in 2:19, and we appreciate God. We yet have a testimony. Appreciate God tonight.
I thank God for his keeping grace. Amen. I thank God for reaching down and giving me another chance. He did not have to do that for me. But the service this morning, it was just like I just kept crying and I just kept crying and I just could not stop crying. And I was like, Lord, why do I keep crying? And I'm thinking, I should not be here today. But God has mercy on me, and I appreciate God so much. And I told God I do not want to be a hindrance. I do not want to sit down on him. I want to be all that I can be for God. And I want the saints to pray my strength. I thank God tonight for my salvation. And I appreciate God for his mercies unto me. I thank him how he gave me a second chance. When I got saved, he told me I couldn't make it, and I'm still here today. And I see why he told me I couldn't make it, because here come Pauline after me. He didn't want me to do it and stand in Khalees, saved, and Vanessa, and Yetta. And I believe God tonight that my children will be saved. I believe it within my heart. So I mean to stand and I mean to be true. And I ask the saints to continue to pray for me.
Well, I want to thank God tonight for salvation. I'm just happy in the Lord, and as I look out over the audience, I'm happy of all the things that God has been doing, and those that he's been saving and reclaiming. And I'm looking at, you know, Brother Antoine said the other, was it this morning? I've been young and I'm old and I've never seen the righteous forsaken, and I'm older now. And I'm looking at children that I taught in Sunday school that are now parents, and they're raising their children, but they're saved. They're saved. And you don't know what that makes me feel, you know, to know that the word that we put in their heart, that it has taken root, you know. And I thank God for that. But are we good?
bless the Lord tonight. We'll bless the Lord.
You can hear me? Okay. I have a big voice. I'll try and speak loud. Saints, I want to thank God for how He blessed me. I've been blessed so much being raised in a church of God, you know, and being able to hear truth at an early age. And I remember going to Newark, Ohio for a camp meeting when I was 8 years old. And I remember sitting at the early morning prayer service. I thought it was so unfair that my mom would wake me up that early to go to the morning prayer service at 6 or 7, you know, in the morning. And, but I thank God that I was able to be in those early morning prayer services because they had them in the barn. And in the barn on the campground is where they hung all the trophies of the glorious things that God had done. There were wheelchairs. There were crutches, but bodies that God had healed. And I remember sitting in that barn just looking at that, hanging on the wall. Those are memorials that I saw as a child. And I didn't know how valuable this truth is, you know. And the enemy did a work. And I saw that happen in 71, 72, 73, around that time, when there ended up being a split. And I didn't understand what was going on. But, you know, I got saved, and I am so thankful. Yesterday, December 28th, is the day I got saved. On December 28th, 1975, God saved my soul. And I was 12, and I remember kneeling at the altar, and I felt like, God, I want to be saved so bad, but I don't want to leave this altar until I know I'm saved. And I just wouldn't get up. And they kept telling me, well, you've repented, you know, go ahead. And I'm like, well, I want to know. I want to know. And Pastor Gordon was the one dealing with me. And he said, how old are you? I said, 12. And then he was like, well. And he kind of gave me this impression like he thought maybe I just wasn't ready or something, you know. And I thought, oh, no, please, keep dealing with me, you know. In my mind, that's what I was thinking. So he told him, we'll take her in the prayer room, you know. And they took me in the prayer room, and they began to expound the scriptures to me, how I need to claim it by faith. And finally, my faith caught hold, and I said, yes, I'm going to believe this, you know. And before I left that morning, I had testified, and that's when I got the witness that God had changed my heart, changed my soul. And when you really get that experience, oh, you're different. It makes a difference. All things change. Nothing is the same. And at that time, compromise had creeped into my home, so much so, my sisters and I were then wearing pants. That's how much we had let down in that congregation. And so I got saved. I'm like, I got to do something here. Okay? I learned how to sew when I was 8 or 9, around there. I told my aunt, because I was in Chicago, I said, Aunt Bernie, do you have any material? I said, you have any material you don't want? I need to make me a skirt, you know. And she gave me some material. I made me a skirt. I made sure it was long. I wanted to be right. I was really saved, you know. And I remember how there was a difference. Even my sister told me later, because my sister, all 3 of my sisters claimed salvation the same morning. And that's Sister Dally, you don't know her. She told me, she said, Ren, I didn't really get it like you did, you know. And I noticed, we went back to school, she kept wearing her pants. But saints, I got it. You know, I was really saved. And later, my sister, of course, came here, and that's when she truly got saved, you know. God has been so good, those saints. I look back over my life, and I'm thankful despite all the difficulties that I've had to face. In 75, he saved me. In 79, I began to seek him. Lord, there's got to be more, because they weren't teaching that anymore. They weren't teaching sanctification in the congregation where I was. But any honest soul would have to admit there's a need for something more. And I began to seek God, Lord, what is it? What is it? I don't care what you call it, but I need it. I need something, you know. And God led me in a roundabout way to show me the error and the truth, and how eventually Sister Green got with me. And I claimed sanctification, but I remember Sister Green was the only one that was happy about it. In my congregation, they weren't happy. Sister Green was in another congregation, and she heard I had been out of town, and she said, you know, I want to know, are you still saved? And I said, oh yeah. And by the way, I got sanctified, you know. And she's like, well, praise the Lord, sister. And she said, let's get together and pray. And y'all know Sister Green. She is a praying sister, so we would get together several nights a week and pray for an hour. And then she'd take me home. And then she said, I promised Brother Hampton I'm going to go visit in Jackson. Why don't you go with me? I said, okay. And so I came to Jackson and started visiting here. And it was different, you know, but I was like, well, Lord, okay. And I heard Brother Hampton preach a message about praying without ceasing. And he said, when's the last time you ever prayed for a half an hour? When's the last time you prayed for an hour? I thought, wow, that's challenging. And I went home and I put it into practice. On certain nights during the week when my family was out to the games and different things that they did, I took time and I spent hours in prayer. I was 17 years old, but I was loving God. You know, I was giving myself to God and giving myself to prayer. And finally the Lord showed me, just like he spoke what Sister Sharice heard, the Lord showed me. Come out of her, my people. Come out of her. And when God speaks, you better obey. And I came out, and I thank God that I had many storms, many troubles, many adversities along the way. But I didn't come for, like my brother, one brother of mine came against me, and he didn't understand. And in his own thinking, he really thinks, you know, well, you're wrong. Why would God, if God was with you, and why would he allow all these things to happen in your life, and your marriage fell apart and all these things, you know? But I didn't come here for a marriage. I didn't come here for any of that. So I came here for the truth, you know? So if the devil used that to try and get me off track, well, I'm sorry, devil. No, I'm not sorry. But you know, saints, I'm going on. Despite, I didn't come here for a husband. I came here for truth. I came here because I love God, and I still love God today. And you know, I've been working around the church, doing a lot of things for many years. Sometimes I wear myself out. This time of year, getting ready for the plays, and all these type of things. I just working and working for the church. A girl told me at work yesterday, she said, you always doing something at your church, you know. But that's a good thing, Dwnld, you know. That's a good thing. And I thought, you know, they probably figure I don't have no kind of life outside of church. And when I thought about it, I said, you know, I really don't. I go to work and I come to church. And I go to the store sometimes, but that's about the gist of it. That is my life. But saints, I am satisfied. I am so happy tonight. I thank God for how he's blessed us. And he's spoken so clear, just confirming his favor upon us and confirming this truth. And I don't know why he's chosen us of all people on the earth, but I thank God. Who are we? Who am I? But God has chosen us, a peculiar people. And I thank God for the meeting last weekend. Every message that went forth seemed like every message challenged me to fight. Every message made me increase my desire to fight the devil. And I tell you, when Brother Sam got to talk about that eagle, and that eagle that went down in that tornado, and he stayed there just soaring until he saw what he wanted. And he snatched it and came up out of the storm. Saints, I want to get what I need out of every storm that I face and come on out of it. I'm encouraged tonight. I thank God not only for the work he's done in my soul, but for the work he's done in your soul, saints. Thank God for the saints of God. I don't care. I love everyone here. And I tell you, when I pray for the saints, I don't care what the devil says about you guys, okay? I want you to know that. I don't care what he says. I want to defeat the devil. I'm serious. I want to defeat the devil. He's a real devil. And I know he is. And I've told y'all so many times, the children always want me to tell them, but I don't want to scare them. But you know, when we were young, we grew up in a haunted house. It was really haunted. The woman that used to own it, she was a practicing witch, okay? So we saw things. We know there's a real devil. And I know it. And he's come against my soul in such real ways. But saints, when I pray, I mean it. I want to snatch every soul to go to heaven. I want to go and I want to take everybody with me that I can take. Pray my strength in the Lord.
Thank God for being saved, truly saved. Yes, sir. I thank God for the newfound joy I have in Him. Some may know I have a basketball background. I've been all over the world playing, but being saved is better than any jump shot I ever took. Any championship I ever won. I started off coming on myself, and today I'm here with the whole Sanders family, and I'd like to introduce us as our brothers Dwnld and these are the Sanders. They actually go down with you too, with Brother Sanders, Brent Sanders' family. We cousins somewhere. But no, seriously, I just ask the saints to continue to pray for myself and my family. And lastly, I'm so thankful for God's timing. Every wall, every barrier that is coming about, He's knocking them down. Amen. Amen. There's been a few that I have no idea and didn't know how it's going to take place, but He has showed up, and I'm believing there's going to be a few more miracles and breakthroughs coming my family's way. So thank you.
Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Amen. Miracle.
I thank God for His sustaining grace. I thank God for all He's brought me through, for proving Himself to me this year. It's been a year. Yes, there's tears, but I thank God there's so much joy too. I'm serving God in all those circumstances. I'm not crying because I'm sad, I'm crying because I'm a willis, and that's what makes it so hard to get up sometimes. But I truly thank God for who He's been to me, for proving Himself to me, for bringing me through so much. At times it feels like life is overwhelming. You don't have the answers. But God has been a present help. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. I have no mind at all to go back. It's been a lot of balancing with all the transitions of life and dealing with my personal life and Juancito's illness, and it's been a lot. But God said He wouldn't put no on so we can bear. And I believe that, and I thank God for the joy He gives me. Like I said, it's not tears of sadness. Yes, there's been trials, but God has truly proven Himself to me. When things were darker than I ever imagined they would be, He has sustained me. He's helped me. He's brought me through. I thank God for the saints' prayers. I thank God that I have a mind to serve Him. I'm ending this year with a determination to serve God, to be all that I can do for Him. I thank God for the message this morning. It was very inspiring to me. I want to vary some things in 2019 and leave them here. So that's the saints to pray for me. More than anything, I just want to be all that I can be for God. Life can get serious at times, and you really need that foundation and that rock and that solidification in your experience. And I thank God He's given me that. I don't say a lot, but I thank God that He has shown me who He is during my darkest hours. And I thank God for the blessings He's bestowed upon me, how He's brought us through so much as a family. He's answered so many prayers. He's just been there. And there's no way I could have gone through this season without God. And I just thank Him for that. I look around at Others that are not saved and don't have God, don't seem to have a mind to be saved. And I said, well, God, I'm so grateful that I have a mind to serve God. You know, sometimes the road gets rough and the going gets tough and the hills are hard to climb. But I decided a long time ago, this is what I wanted. I love salvation. I love being saved. I thank God for being able to be an example to my children, to my family. And I'm praying for my siblings and my boys that God would just have mercy on their souls and bring them in as well. I'm just encouraged tonight to serve God and ask the saints to continue to pray for me. That I'll continue to grow in grace and be all that God would have me to be. I just want to be detailed in my relationship with God. I want to be in a position to receive God's blessings and just doing all that I can do on my part. And that's what I've been endeavoring to do. And I thank you again for your prayers. They mean more than you have any idea. I feel the saints' prayers. And I just thank you for your texts, your phone calls, and the encouraging words I've received from the saints. And just, I'm grateful for being a part of the Church of God. Continue to pray for me.
I just want to thank God so much for my salvation, for everything that He's done for me, and how I just feel like 2019 was a victorious year for me. And I just thank God that He helps me in some different areas, and I just appreciate God for that. And I was just reflecting back, and yesterday it was like I just started from the beginning, and I was just like almost giving my testimony in my room, and I was just like, God, You brought me through this, You brought me through this, You brought me through this, and it seemed like God just helped me so much. And I was just thinking back when I was in California. I just remember being in my house and being in my room and going different places and just trying so hard to get an answer from God. But I felt like I could never reach Him or never get Him. I could never get the experience that I wanted. I remember I would come out here and visit, but it wasn't like it was long enough for me to really understand the Word like I should. And I remember I came to a point in my life of desperation, and it seemed like all the normal recourse, I guess you would say, wasn't there. Everything was pulled out from under me. And I remember I went into the prayer room, and I was actually visiting here, and I went into the prayer room, and I talked to Sister Doris, and she said, I told her, I was like, I feel like I just need to pray. Like, I just need to pray. How I remember she said I could come to her house because it was quiet and calm or whatever. And I went into one of the rooms in her house, and I prayed, and I poured out myself to God like never before. And I feel like I just gave up everything. Like, okay, God, take this, take it, okay. And then like, take it, okay. And I just felt like I just prayed like I never could pray before. And I remember it was like almost time to go to the evening service, and I was like I still felt like I need an answer maybe or what have you, but finally God spoke to me and He said, you're just going to have to take it by faith now. Like, you've done everything that you can do, and you're just going to have to take it by faith. And I went to church that night, and we sang, the soul that on Jesus does lean for repose, I will not desert to his foes. That soul, though all hell should endeavor to shake, I will not forsake. And how I remember I had to go back home, and the devil just came in with a vengeance. He was just trying to tell me, like, you need to do this, just pressure. And I didn't have any inspiration or any preaching or any messages or songs, or, I would try to listen to services, but it wasn't the same. And how, I remember I got down on my knees, and I was like, okay, God, like, I'm gonna take this by faith. Like, I'm just gonna do it. And it was like God just blessed me so much. Even when I moved out here, just filled me with the Word and just helped me so much in my experience. I remember Brother Hampton would preach and be like, oh God, no, like I don't think I can do this. But I would just say, God, I don't know how, I don't know what, but I want that. Just give it to me. And it seemed like just through He's helped me so much. And this past November marks 4 years for me. And I just thank God for all the things that He's brought me through, and how even lately just inspiring my faith to take territory, to take it. And how I was thinking how I trailed Brother Trump, Sister probably laugh at me, but we played this game at their house, and it just inspired my faith so much because it was like you had to take these territories and you had these troops and you had to attack and defend and all this stuff, and God just inspired me with that, and so I made my own board and I put all the things that I feel like I need victory over, and I like set it up or whatever, and it was like, I was just thinking how I got me, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and faith against the devil. And I was like, that's 5 against 1. So I just thank God so much. I just want to keep my salvation. Just pray for me. I don't know what 2020 is going to hold, but I want to stay safe, so keep me in your prayers.
Glory to God.
Good evening, saints. I want to feel to give God all the glory, all the praise, and thanks for saving me in 2012.
My Lord.
This time, I'll say in 2011, God was preparing me for my salvation. I had no idea. I was in a dark place. I didn't know what was happening, what was happening. But he brought me to the Church of God in 2012, January 15th. Pastor Hampton, I know you all have heard my testimony many a times, how I just kept calling him. And I would hang up the phone and call him back, and he would answer every time. About 15 times I had to call him. And he was like, how can I help you? How can I be of service to you? Would you like me to pray for you over the telephone? I was like, no, you can't pray for me over the telephone. You need to pray for me in person. Amen. But he gave me his address. And I made my way after service 2015 to his home. I had never been to Jackson. God just led me there, and there I got my salvation that night. The next day it was family and friends. That Monday night I came out. God continued to work with me, declaring my salvation. But let me just back up with the testimony. It's basically about when I was on my knees praying. I told God, I said, if you save me, I promise I'll serve you for the rest of my life. I said, I didn't care about being pretty. I didn't care about money. I didn't care about jewelry. I didn't care about fine cars. I didn't care about anything at that point. I just wanted to be made whole. And I said, God, if you save me, I promise I'll teach my children all about you. Because that was something I didn't do. Although I had grew up knowing about Christ, I didn't teach my children much of anything. And when he saved my soul, I was aiming to keep that promise. But at the same time, growing up, and I had children early, I let my children move to Traverse City. And here I had found truth. My family was so far away, and I couldn't understand. I kept saying, God, if you gave me truth, then I promised you that I would serve you for the rest of my life and teach my family about you. Why is it that everyone can bring their children and their family and everybody to the Church of God, and I can't bring mine? That used to hurt so bad because I wanted to raise my grandchildren and teach them, and my daughter and my son, I wanted them to hear the truth because I had got truth. And I wanted to bring my family in to hear truth. And I just kept asking God to show me, so you all would see me missing in action for a few days. That would be because on some Sundays or some weekends I would travel to Traverse City just so that my children could see me in the way and the changes that I had made in my life. And I knew if I wasn't there, they couldn't see the light that I now had. And I continue to travel there, but I continue to pray for my own grandkids and my own family, because it's not that I'm not happy for everybody else in their family, but I want you to all have it, but I wanted a piece of it for my own. So God bless me down through the last few years. You all been seeing that I've been able to travel and bring my grandchildren to back from Traverse City, 4 hours away, and bring them back to the Church of God. And so today marks my grandsons that are here now. This is what your fourth visit. This is their fourth visit to the Church of God. And I want them to have what I have. So I pray so much for you guys every single night. I want my grandchildren to be saved. I want them to have salvation. I don't want them to miss out on it. They say you train up a child in the way that he should go. He won't depart far from it. And I'm like, my children are there, but I want them to get a piece of this and this upbringing. I want them to know that they're part of the Church of God, and this is their legacy here. And that's why I'm so hard and so just bringing travel for 4 hours, not sleeping, just to get there and turn around and come back so they could at least get, I promise you, I'm like, God, can I get in 3 services with my grandchildren? This weekend it will be 3 services. We do 2 or 3 services back in August, and then 1 or 2 services back before then. And I'm just continuing to pray for them, and I'm so blessed because when I picked up, I know it sounds wrong, but when I picked up my oldest grandson, he asked me, he said, Mama, he says, are we going to go back and visit the church this weekend? I was like, yes. So saints, I just ask you to continue to pray for me. Pray for my family, and I just pray for their salvation. I'm praying that one day that I can bring my family from, this is my prayer, from Traverse City to live in the outskirts or close to Jackson so that they can fellowship with me.
Saints, I want to thank God tonight. I'm translating for Sister Lilia back there.
Le doy gracias a Dios por todo lo que ha hecho por mí.
I like to thank God for everything He has done for me.
Gracias a Dios por todos los santos.
I like to thank God for the
Por todas
saints,
sus oraciones.
for their prayers,
Por todo lo que hacen por nosotros.
for everything you do for us.
Los amo mucho.
I love you so much.
Doy gracias a Dios por su amor, su misericordia.
I thank God for His love, His mercy.
Porque mi hija ya va a cumplir 1 año.
I want to thank God because my baby is going to be a year old.
Y gracias a su gran misericordia estamos bien.
And because of His mercy, she's doing so good.
Continúen orando por mi esposo, por la
Please continue
familia.
to pray for my husband, my family.
Y los amo mucho. Que Dios los bendiga a todos.
I love you. Thank you.
Amen. Praise God.
I was just thinking that things happen every day through the year that maybe we weren't prepared for or we weren't expecting, but God already saw it. And He's so faithful to us. Last year I started like a planner, and I just started writing down just different things that would happen or that did happen, like the birth of the babies in the church and different sicknesses and stuff that people had, and just to look back and reflect on all that God has done. I've just been like, wow, you know. But personally, 2 things stuck out for me this year that really built my faith, and that was when I dealt with the situation with my job. I had no idea that I would be facing a termination for religious beliefs. You know, I had no idea that was going to come to me in 2019. It just seemed so outdated. So my mind wasn't prepared for that. But I thank God so much for how faithful He is, because some of the things that we deal with, like Lee was preaching, you know, it could be from deep-seated issues, things from how you grew up, or, you know, things in your past that you didn't even realize you haven't fully dealt with. And not everybody knows this, but I did share it one time when we went to a shelter service that I stayed in the shelter before for about 2 or 3 weeks. And it was when I was saved the first time, and it was a very difficult experience for me, being a high school student, staying in the shelter, you know, having to walk home and walk to the shelter. It was just difficult for me. So when I was facing losing my job, I've always been a stable person because of some of the stuff I deal with. I don't not pay my bills. You won't see that happen, you know. There's different things I do to make sure that I'm okay. And because I have children and I'm a single mother, I just put things in order like they should be in order. Amen. So I just felt like this is just out of my control. And I couldn't let that thing go, Saints. I can't explain how I was wrestling with that. And finally, I went to another sister's house, and I just was like, she was asking me, how do I feel? And I said, I feel like I'm really going to lose my job. And I got to settle this thing, because it wasn't settled. Like, I don't care what comes and goes. I'm going to stay saved. And so she prayed with me, and God was there. He met us there, and I just felt like, okay, if I lose my job, I lose my job. I'm not putting on these pants. I don't have another option, but this is what I'm going to do. And how God, this was the other thing. Lee was talking about like how you can feel overlooked, or maybe you didn't get the attention you wanted or whatever. I don't feel like I seek for attention, but I did feel like I was the fourth child, and so my little opinion didn't matter much. I was the oldest girl though, but I was the fourth child born, and so just different things. I really wouldn't press my opinion or say what I thought or whatever. So when it came for me to tell these people, I'm not putting on pants, it was hard for me, but it wasn't hard because what God had done for me. But it was hard to feel like I'm going against authority. And so it was just so many things. I can't even explain it all. But to look them people in the face, and they were looking at me like I was putting patients in jeopardy, and just like I was not doing a good job in my field, what I do. And so I had a hard time with that. But to look them people in the face and tell them, I am not putting on pants. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you flip it. I don't care if my pastor says it's okay. I don't do that. That's a personal thing that God has given me. And just the encouragement and the faith that came with that, and the fear, I feel like God just kind of dispersed some fear that I was dealing with. And I thank God so much for that. And I think you all know that it worked out and I didn't lose my job. But just the fact that I was able to settle it, I thank God so much for that. And then the other thing I dealt with was a very personal situation in my home with my children. And that thing, saints, it just was eating me up. And I had my prayer partner come over, and she was like, I've never seen you like this. It just was difficult. It's not easy being a single mom and trying to raise children and hold the standards and, just be right. But I thank God so much that He put a burning desire in my heart that I'm not trying to go against the standards. I'm not trying to make my own way. If I know that it's wrong, I'm not doing it. I thank God for giving me that. I thank God so much that last year in September made 10 years of God keeping me. And I can remember on day one, I just felt like I'm coming in with so much baggage and so much just stuff. And I just felt like I don't really have anything to offer God. How He took my little bit of nothing and He's just helping me and encouraging me and helping me to put one foot in front of the other every day. And even things I was praying for, like, God, I need this. I would like to see that. And how He's just showing me. And it's not all natural things or physical things or whatever, but spiritual things. And He's just giving me what I need in my soul to feed me day after day after day. And for 2019, He gave me that scripture, blessed is she that believes, for there shall be a performance of those things which were told her from God or from the Lord. And I just feel like different things that I have staked my claim on, God has said, I got you. Like, it's coming to pass. My faith is so inspired for my family to be saved. This year, my mom had a situation that we've been dealing with for 4 years, and we got a paper in the mail, and I was reading it to her over the phone, and she just started screaming, praise God! I mean, just screaming, like she was saved. I almost fell off. I was like, God, just God is so good. And so I'm so thankful for 2020. I'm looking for my exact place in the body. I want God to carve it out. I want to be a blessing to the saints of God. I want to help the ministry. I just want to be in my place, and I want to inspire those that I can inspire.
I want to thank the Lord tonight for my salvation. I'm like Sister Tasha. I appreciate being saved. I came in 2019 saved, and I'm going out out saved and determined. The enemy came against me real hard. Real hard. But my God is bigger than that. For every trial, every tribulation, God brought me through. I got a little bruised up. Got some sore ribs. But I'm still standing. And I'm not going nowhere. What all the enemy didn't get, he's not going to get. Almost 7 years ago, I probably would have been prepared for a party. Take out with a bang. But I can truthfully say that I haven't had a party like I've been having for the past 7 years. The parties that I've had was not at the liquor store, was not in my cigarettes, was not in my Al Green or my Icy Brothers or the Whispers or it's been a party that was so unbelievable. When I look back over the years and I think about how many years I wasted, and I really thought I was partying. I thought I was partying back then. But I didn't realize what a true party was. And the host. And the host being Jesus Christ. It's unbelievable. This party here, you really can't describe. When you think about all the things that he has brought you through, you can't even remember it. I can't remember everything God has done for me. But I truly appreciate being saved.
Thank God.
And you really don't know what you have until it comes against you, until your trials come. Because lately, within the past couple weeks, the trials has been unbelievable. Unbelievable. And like I said, I've been hit pretty hard here lately. But I'm still here. And I'm still standing. I took a couple punches here and there, and I'm not a boxer at all, Sister Ella. I'm not a boxer. But I am a fighter. I am a fighter. I refuse to give up. I'm not giving up and I'm not giving in. And I'm just so grateful that I have God that I can go to. And I'm not trying to do anything myself. So when that load gets super hard and super heavy, I can get on my knees and say, Lord, take this. Take this. I need you to take this. And he has taken it.
Thank God.
I'm so grateful. Because I know in my heart if I wasn't saved, I wouldn't be here. And only God knows where I'd be, where my family would be. And I thank God for answering prayers. Because the things that has came against me, I didn't feel anything. And I was so amazed. I was so amazed. I looked at myself and I said, wow, I'm truly saved. For real, for real. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. God is so good. He is so wonderful. And whatever I wasn't this year, I want to be more of it next year. Pray my strength.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. My Lord.
I just want to thank God for my salvation.
God.
My Lord.
It's been a very trying year.
Yeah.
My Lord.
The enemy thought he was going to be able to take me out,
Yeah.
but he didn't.
Praise God.
I'm still here because I want to be here. I love the saints. I'm encouraged. The scripture says, forgetting those things that are behind and reaching forward. That's what I mean to do. So bring my strength.
Praise God. Man. Maria.
Thank God for my salvation. Actually, the scripture that she just quoted is what I was reading maybe yesterday or a couple of days ago, but it's Philippians 3:13, and it says, "Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus." And I was just thinking, that's where I am. God has given me a press, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm so grateful for His goodness to me, and I don't want to fail to thank Him for how He has been helping me, for how He has been strengthening me, and how He's been just keeping me and just building me, just slowly building me and making me more like Him, and I'm so thankful for that. I was thinking about how I came into 2019 swinging, because in 2018 the devil tried to take me out. And I just remember feeling like, I remember around this time, 2018, I was just like, no, like this, I felt like, I don't know if the word is woozy, but I feel like I was just in a battle, and I was just kind of thinking over 2018, and whenever I think back, it makes me kind of like, it makes me feel some type of way, because it was just a year of mind battles. And but I was thinking, I was like, something, I had to come out of that year with something, like I don't believe that I went through a whole year and I don't have anything to, reflect or to come out of it with. And I remember that was when God gave me a witness. That was when I got my witness that God was with me, was in the midst of those mind battles. I sought God, and He let me know, you are right and I am with you, and we're going through this. And that was toward the end of 2018. I came in 2019 swinging, and I'm taking everything you thought you was trying to get from me, and I'm just taking it. I'm not taking any more from you. And by the end of this year, it's not going to look anything like it did last year. I'm not coming out. This year I will not end feeling like I'm fighting for my life. I'm going to end feeling like I'm going to the meeting, and I was just, God has showed me, He has showed me so much about myself this year. He showed me that my discipline, my level of discipline was not what it should be. I was kind of weak-minded in some areas, and so I was like, okay, well, I don't know how to. I need you to give that to me. And we went to the meeting, and Brother Mark preached, stay in the fight or don't give up the fight, and I got exactly what I needed there. So I feel like 2018, I got my witness. 2019, I came in fighting. In 2020, I'm pressing toward the mark for the prize. There's a prize for me. There's victories here on earth, but I'm trying to get to the real prize, So I'm pressing, and I'm forgetting those things which are behind. I'm moving forward. Something else that God showed me this year was that, about myself, was that I'm a bottler. Not intentionally, but I take things and I just carry the stress of it. Instead of going to Him, there's a song that says, "Oh, what needless pain we bear." All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. But the song is, "What a friend we have in Jesus." And He was like, you're coming to me when everything's out of control. You need to come to me at A. I remember Brother Lee had preached, and he was saying that towards the end of his message, I don't know what it was, but he was saying there are some people, we all have levels of what we can take, and there are some people who are a little bit stronger, so you're going to have to take a little bit more. And I was on the phone with my sister, Kamara, actually, and I was just like, and I was telling her, and I was saying what he was saying, but then I got to thinking, I was like, I didn't wire myself, I didn't ask to be stronger, I didn't ask to be one that can withstand a lot of stuff. And I'm like, so do I just have to, just go through all this because I'm You know, she was like, I was like, do I have to go through A through Y and then get to Z and then God come through whatever? She was like, no, you need to go to God at A. That's the whole point. You need to come to him at A and then stop feeling like you can handle everything, because you can't. You're not really handling it. You're just carrying the stress of it. And I was like, that's right. Like, I'm not, it's like, it's so much easier to pray for other people's situation. But when you have to sit down and face the emotions and the reality of your situation, you just want to say, oh God, undertake. Or God, have your way, and then you still carry it. My shoulders shot, tense and stuff like that. And God was just like, you need to come to me at A, because the reality is you have nothing without me. You're nothing without me. You feel like you can go throughout these situations, but you can't. I'm your A, your B, and all the way to your Z. And so I was just like, so I've been, as of late, kind of just putting that to test. And the peace that I have, it's a peace like no matter what situations may come, no matter what we're going through with our family, no matter what I'm going through on the inside, no matter how I may be feeling, there's still a peace that cannot be perturbed, cannot be disturbed, because I'm coming to him with everything. I'm casting it, you know. I'm not saying I'm casting it, I'm actually casting it. And so I'm just so grateful. God has just been so good. And I mean to make it. I mean to make heaven. And I mean to be what he's calling for me to be. God has just been so good to me. He's worthy of all my praise. I want to be the example that I'm supposed to be. I'm thinking I'm teaching a teenage Sunday school class, and realistically, I'm 28. We're not that many years apart. But I have to be an example for them. I can't come casually. I can't come light. It's my responsibility to indoctrinate them, to make sure that when they leave, should they choose to not be saved, they're not confused by Babylon or confused by this crazy society that anything goes, you know? So I can't, everything matters. All my prayers, they have to be in detail. It has to be more. God has been teaching me how to pray, teaching me how to increase in my prayers, how to pray in detail, how to pray for different people and the mindset and that they need to have when they're going through their trials. He's just been guiding me. He's just been building me. And I really don't know how to thank him. I'm really trying to put the words together, but I really don't know how. So I want to thank you guys for your prayers, and I ask that you continue to hold me up.
I'd like to thank God for my salvation.
Le doy gracias a Dios por un año más que Dios está con nosotros.
I'd like to thank God because he has been with us one more year.
Gracias a Dios porque siempre ha estado con mi familia, conmigo.
I'd like to thank God because he has always been with my family, with myself.
Dios nos ha enseñado a creer en Él.
God is teaching us to trust him, to believe in him.
Le doy las gracias porque cuando Él lo necesitamos, Él siempre está para ayudarnos.
And I want to thank God because whenever we need him, he's there to help us.
En la semana, nosotros, yo y mi esposa, estábamos muy enfermos de gripa.
My wife and I felt very sick during the week, both of us.
Hermano Lee oró por nosotros.
Brother Lee prayed for us.
La respuesta llegó a nosotros.
The answer came.
La mano de Dios está con nosotros.
God's hand is on us.
Ahí es donde nos damos cuenta que el poder es fuerte de Dios.
And that's how we can tell that God's power is real, strong.
El año pasado yo en noviembre, octubre estaba muy enfermo que nunca supe qué es lo que tuve.
Last year in November I was so sick, but I never found out what was wrong with me.
Mi familia en México se preocupó mucho, algunos se molestaron porque no iba al doctor.
Some of my relatives in Mexico got very upset with me because I wouldn't go to the doctor.
Yo les dije que la congregación estaba orando por mí.
But I told them that the church here was praying for me.
Como ellos son católicos, pues es difícil de creer.
For them it's hard to understand, they're Catholic.
Una de mis hermanas constantemente me decía, vete al doctor, vete al doctor.
One of my sisters kept telling me, go to the doctor, go to the doctor.
Le dije, no voy a ir.
I
Los
told
hermanos están orando por mí.
I wasn't going because the saints were praying for me.
Quiero que vean el poder de Dios a través de mí para que ustedes también con el futuro se puedan entregar a Dios.
I told her, I want you guys to see God's power through me, working through me, so in the future you can give your life to him.
A los 4 días yo me mejoré y me preguntaron si fui al doctor.
I got better, the Lord touched my body, and then they asked me, did you go to the doctor?
Porque me preguntaron, ¿qué tenías?
They asked me, what was wrong with you?
Dije, no, nada. Dios me tocó, Dios me curó.
I told them how God healed me.
La respuesta ahí estuvo conmigo,
Dios
Dios tiene todo el poder.
God has all the power.
Es que hermanos, oren por mí, por mi familia.
Saints,
Les
you
doy
pray
gracias
for
a Dios
me and
por
my
sus
family.
oraciones.
Thank you for your prayers.
Glory, glory.
Praise God.
Well,
Thank you, Lord.
been quiet for a little while.
There's doing, brother.
But I want to thank God because I'm not even supposed to be here. I am supposed to be dead. I used to tell people, don't pray for me, pray for yourself.
My Lord.
Now I ask the saints, please don't forget to pray for me.
Amen, brother.
I don't brag about my past.
No, sir.
I was asleep the other day and I had pain in my eyes so bad that I had to roll out the bed, fell on my knees. Pain was just something I never felt before. And at that time when I laid on the side of my bed, halfway on the bed, on the floor, wherever I was, God told me, he said, think about Jesus Christ. And I got an imagination out of this world, let me tell you. But I started imagining that night, before I was even born, what God, his son, did for me.
My Lord, brother.
Thought about the hand. The other day when I was working in the yard, I hit my hand with my own hammer. And I couldn't remember if I was crying or whatever. But that night, I thought about how they took that spike
Yeah.
and they drove that spike through his hand. Then I thought about, he must have had another spike that was twice as long. And they drove that spike through his hand, through his feet, I'm sorry. Now my eyes still hurt, but I'm imagining.
Yes, sir.
The point of the issue is that I don't remember anywhere where he went crying, screaming, and howling about, oh, I can't go. I didn't want, He went bold because he was doing God's work. And saints, I want to do God's work.
Bless him, Lord. Lord, sustain.
I've been backing off a whole lot of things. I thought I had it all. God told me, see, you don't have it all. You don't have it. And he brought me to a crossroad.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that I went the right way.
Thank the Lord, brother.
Because I knew if I went the other way, I wasn't coming back. But I thank God tonight, saints. He's been merciful to me. I was riding my motorcycle one day. If I had just taken off a little bit faster, I'd have died in my sins. Car came flying to the intersection doing 100. A few weeks after that, I was driving my car on a 7-mile road, and I looked in my rearview mirror and I saw a guy on a motorcycle. He pulled up right behind me. I went through the intersection, turned into the gas station, and he proceeded forward. As I looked out my window, I saw a car turn in front of the motorcycle, and he died that day. So I have much to be thankful for. I've only been saved a week before Easter. Saints, I was born in church.
My Lord.
Whatever days I have left, I want to try and make up for all those years. Sometimes I get scared about what I think God might want me to do, whatever it is. The devil came to me the other night. He came to me so hard I had to get up. And I was just standing. I said, I'm not going back. I thought I was actually where he wanted me to be. And I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm saved. And I woke up. I got out that bed and I'm standing up. I said, I'm not going back. I don't care if I don't have any more money. I don't care what. Saints, I made it up in my heart.
Lord bless you. My God. Thank God.
Well, if you do this, you backslide, you come on back here, you're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm like, we're not going to do nothing. Whatever you didn't get me to do then, brother, it's too late.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I don't want to be vain, but I appreciate God. Because he didn't have to die for me. He could have just said, oh, you good, go. You ain't going to be saved no way. But I thank God tonight, saints. I appreciate God. I appreciate Brother Hampton praying for me. Even when I didn't want him to pray. Devil come against me and people get my phone number and I'm like, how did this guy even get my number? Yeah. I'm like, he heard from you in 30-something years. I'm like, bye. Don't call me. So I just thank God, saints, tonight.
Mercy.
That he didn't let me die. A lot of saints, you all don't know that I had brain surgery. I'm supposed to be dead. But he saw this night tonight where I was going to give praise to God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That he gave me a chance, even when I didn't deserve it. And he's still working on me. And I'm sharpening my sword and I'm ready. I'm going to do this battle for God. I was dreaming the other night when I don't know why all these dreams come to me, but I was dreaming. That I was walking towards a light. And I looked down, somebody was walking next to me, and I'm asleep. And I'm walking on a transparent road. And I can see the stars gleaming through the road. And I'm walking through the light. I'm just walking. And something said, stand here. I'll be back for you. And saints, I'll be standing. Right here waiting on God.
That's right, brother. Stand.
I'm standing. And I'm proud to be standing. I used to go to church down in Babylon. And I used to just sit there. I thank God for not being deceived. I used to sit there, they had the pianos going and the drums and tambourines, and they just shaking and waving and jury. And I was like, this ain't church God. So I never got deceived, although I wasn't saved. And I thank God tonight. I thank God I can see. I can see the glory of God. And I want you all, I pray for everybody. That's why you all might hear me ask, what's your name again? What's your name, son? Because I pray personally. And I pray that you all please hold me up in your prayers. Remember my kids. I know they know my past. It's kind of hard sometimes to talk to your kids after they know so much dirt on you. But there's a God in heaven. And they see that I'm changed now. So, be the will of God, my children be saved. And I even pray for my enemies. People that beat me out of money. I used to, I wouldn't let it go. No, you're not going to let it go. But now it's in God's hands. I'm going to say this, I'm going to sit down. The other day I was supposed to testify, but I didn't. I've been praying that God intervened on some situations. They're not all the way to the end yet, but I had a $620,000 debt. Just one day. God cut that debt down to $230,000. It's not finalized yet, but I know God's going to work it out. Praise God. And the devil, I told him, I said, go back to what? Go back for what? To what? I'm good. And I want the saints to pray for me. If I ever said anything to anybody, just come to me. My spirit is right now. People wouldn't come to me if I said stuff in the past. They're scared. Just come to me now. I'm different. And I'm praying for everybody. And I'm praying for these streets because I used to be a part of the problem. You all don't know I used to be a part of the problem. But now I'm a part of the solution. And I thank God that I'm alive. Y'all could have came to my people. I found out today that somebody else just passed. Okay, wow. Just thank God it's not me. So pray my strength. I didn't mean to be so long, but it feels good to get it off my chest. I was supposed to be dead, but I'm not. I'm not. So I just want to be standing there for God when He comes back for me. But be standing. I'm going to be standing. Thank you.
I want to thank the Lord for my salvation. I want to thank the Lord for my sanctification. I want to thank God for everything that He has done for me. This year, I was not supposed to make it through. But I want to thank God for His mercies unto me. I never thought I would go through the things that I've been through, but God and His mercies. You know, I love Him. I want to be saved. Saints, I never thought I would get married for 12 and a half or close to 13 years, and my husband passed, to be raising my 5 boys and my 1 girl by myself. I want to thank God, but before my husband passed, he said he needs somebody to go through this, and I said I would do it. I didn't count the rest of the cost after he passed and the life that I would have to live. But I want to thank God, saints. I thank God I am yet in the land of the living. I want to thank God I am yet clothed in my right mind. Saints, you just don't know what God does. And I thank God for bringing me through. I thank God for the mercies of God and the messages. Even today, it was like the final closure that I needed. I thank God you do things or you say things or whatever, you get the victory or whatever, but it's like there was something else. It was
been in sin, and I can't imagine another life. I don't want another life. I have fully sold out. I am fully dedicated to God, and it's like nothing else. Nobody matters but God. And if God is first, everything else will fall into place. And I want to keep God first. Saints, I thank you so much for your love and your concern. I thank you for your prayers. I thank God for my best friends. I thank God for my best friends. I thank God. Sister Love, Sister Mary, you know I love you, and I thank God for you. Oh my God, I say you do. You need somebody that you can trust and confide in. You need that. I thank God for my ministry. I thank God I can trust my ministry. It's like, Brother Lee, you just don't know how much it means to me. Brother Hampton is gone, but he left you here to pick up the mantle. And I thank God we have a good group of saints. Sister Bradshaw, appreciate you. Tuesday and Thursday prayer services, and when they're canceled, I am so disappointed, but it's for a reason. But it's like, I thank God for the church and everything she stands for. I'm wrong. The church is right. I'm not wrong anymore. And I thank God for that. I love the church of God. Praying for my children. My son said he wanted to be saved in 2019. It's just 2 more days. And it's like, Lord, you're never too late. It's not too late. I thank God. My daughters, my one daughter in California, Lord, that's not her lifestyle. She know better. And I'm pleading the blood on him. I thank God that we can do that. We have power. But you gotta be clear. You gotta be right. You gotta be right. And I thank God this is a place to be right, to be clear with God. Saints, I love you. I thank you. Continue to pray for me.
Praise God.
Thank God for salvation tonight. Thank God that I'm here tonight. I thank God that everything, when I think of it, that I went through this year was to keep me from being where I am right now in this fight. Keep me from being here. And that's a lot. No matter what you go through and what you do, but at the end of the year, you're not here. And I thank God, how he has blessed me in my soul. Thank God for the word. Even if he didn't give me all the other things. It's like the scripture says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. And I thank God that when you do what God would have you to do, then he adds all those other things. I didn't have to worry about those things. So many deadlines came for me throughout the year. This time last year, I was in jail. The enemy didn't want me to be here. It's not that I did anything wrong, but I knew when I was going in that jail, they took my clothes. I had been through that before, and I was thinking, I said, God must have something for me to do in here. Yes, sir. And I went in, and I thank God I got with the inmates, and we began to talk, and I began to tell them about my life. They say, how you get back in here? I said, God had something for me to do. And I laid down and I thought about it. I said, I'm not going to feel bad about this. I said, I know what to do. I'm going to pray and I'm going to fast. And I'm going to do what God would have me. I'm going to keep my spirit right. And I'm going to stay right here until they let me go. And I remember I got a chance to talk to the inmates about the gospel. I was there for a reason. And I was happy, and I thank God I was just many times under my breath, because you can't talk about it. I was just saying, praise the Lord. Thank God. Glory to God for what he's done for me. There was a song we used to sing years ago. It said, the Lord has brought me from a mighty long way. And I've been blessed by his goodness. And I'm saved by his grace. So many things. God bless my wife. I mean, when I leave from here, go get on the telephone and we're going to pray. We're going to pray. We're going to actually agree together in prayer. I thank God this morning I had to go to work, and I was praying. I said, Lord, just make a way for me to be at the service. And when I got there, I saw so much work, but I wasn't discouraged. And I thank God I got to a certain point, and one of the men, he said, well, you can leave that to tomorrow. That's all we need over here. And I hurried up in my work clothes, and I said, I'm going to get me some of the service. And I think I was standing in the back, and the brother was preaching, and the Holy Ghost was talking to me. And I thank God that I was in a place that I was supposed to be, and that God made a way for me to hear the word. And when I left out of here, I got on the phone. Not probably because of what was, but what could have been. I wanted to make sure it was just like that word I heard this morning, that I could be in the right place. I said, Lord, I want to be small in my own eyes. I want to be who you'd have me to be. I didn't just come here to get saved. I know that. I didn't just come here just to be here. I come here because I wanted God to lock it in for me. I knew that God could keep me, and that He was going to keep me. He kept me through 18 years in prison. Nobody ever hit me. I never went to the hole. I mean, nobody ever touched me. And I had things all around me. People hated my guts because I talked about this here all the time, what God could do. And some of them same enemies would come up to me and say, I want you to pray for me. And I thank God how when they said, let's get him, God didn't let him touch me. And I thank God the saints was here praying for me. Look, he's brought me through so much. Wasn't a lot of money. It wasn't what I had. It's like when I think that God actually got off his throne, that's how I felt, and took his tunic off, his robe, and came down, walked this earth to help me. And that's just what he did. That's the love of God. I'm so glad to be here tonight. I mean, I'm glad. I feel real good in my soul. I feel something stirring up in my soul. Look, God did something for me. You know what that song said? For me. If it was just those two words in that song, I understand it. For me, the blessed Savior came. For me. Glory to God. What else can I say? Glory to God. I thank God. I'm so happy. This is good for me. Look, at the end of the year, I'm standing here. The enemy had it out for me. He didn't want me to be here. Just like he didn't want you to be here. You know what you went through. And I know what I'm still going through. But I thank God that I can see the end. As the brother said, I read the back of the book. Jesus is the last one speaking. The devil said what he said. All the enemies said what they said. But Jesus is the last one speaking. And he said he was coming back. And I want him to come back for me. As bad as I've been in life, I'm not supposed to be here. I've seen the bullets flying by my face. I've seen them cut down the bushes. I've seen other people running. And I was supposed to be dead. He couldn't hit me. He has something for me. Even if it's just to say that if I can save him, I can save anybody. It makes no difference what you're going through tonight. All those other things God brought me through. It wasn't me. When I look at it, God rolled up his sleeves. God did most of the work, if not all of it. I just prayed. A lot of times I was afraid, and I said, Lord, help me, I'm afraid. I said, I'm not big enough to do what I need to do. I used to. I said, look where they got me. But I'm so glad to be standing here tonight in the church of God, in truth. I thank God for what the word has done for my soul. I thank God for you saints. You labored and prayed for me. I know you love me. You prayed for me and God brought me through time and time again. And he's still bringing me through. I'm not just here to be saved. I'm locking this in. And the things he come with, I said, devil, you've been there before. I heard that before. I know who's talking. That's the devil. He ain't coming for no good for me. And I hear him over there. I said, that's the devil. I said, thank God. I thank God for Brother Lee. Yes. I thank God that the same Holy Ghost that was here when Brother Hampton was here is still here today. Amen. The same Holy Ghost that fought for Brother Hampton is fighting for Brother Lee. The same Holy Ghost that's fighting for Brother Lee is fighting for me. Amen. For me. So I thank God that the same Holy Ghost that's fighting for me is fighting for the saints. I'm in the right place. I know with an army like this being, I can't lose. God already did the winning. I just need to do what I need to do. Keep doing that's what's right. Keep my spirit right. Stay small in my own eyes. Stay in the Word. God give me a mind to fast, a mind to pray, a mind to shut up, a mind to be quiet, a mind to keep my own business, a mind to do what I need to do, whatever that is, to go the right way. I thank God. Look, I'm not giving that mind up. I know what's out there. I used to be the chief. I used to be helping other folks do it. My brother was talking to me the other day. I said, "You drunk?" He said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Man, I was drinking before you. I know what drunk is." And I told him what he was drinking. And he said, "You know," he said, "You're right, brother." I said, "You need to come where I am." I said, "You know it's right. Stop talking about what you're going to do. You've been saying that for years. You know this right. You know, bro." And I said, "It's time to do it. The door is closing." So I want the saints to pray for me. I'm up here because I'm happy in my soul. I'm smiling in my soul, and I don't want you to pray for me.
Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord.
I thank God for keeping me saved over 40 years in this church.
Amen.
Appreciate God for that. You know, in 2019, down through those days, I've heard so much from the people out in sin and in the world that, you know, girl, you're in a cult. You know, you're in a cult and you don't know it or you don't realize it. You've been in that church for all these years and you don't have a husband. You know, do you see anybody or, you know, or you're in a cult. But I thank God that I'm able to let them know that when I got in this thing, I didn't get in this thing for a husband. I got in this thing to satisfy Jesus. I appreciate Christ. He's been good to me. I appreciate what he's done for me on the cross, as Brother Juan was bringing out. I thank God for how he's been helping me down through the years. I appreciate God for my mother, how she's yet in the land of the living. I thank God so much for that. I thank God for this, how some of the saints has been coming to me, asking me, "Sister, how is your mother?" Yeah. I appreciate that very much. It means more to me than you can even imagine or realize. That means so much to me. I appreciate you for that. They come to me and ask me, "How is your mother?" I want to go visit with her. I appreciate God for that. And I let her know that so-and-so asked about you, and she really appreciates that. I ask that you would please continue to keep her in your prayers. I thank God so much for how he's helped me, how he brought me through college. I thank God for how he helped me with my bachelor's degree and kept me saved. I thank God for how he helped me with my management and kept me saved. I thank God for how he helped me with my master's degree. I appreciate God. God has been so good to me. I mean to be all that Christ would have me to be. Pray.
Bless you. Thank you.
God is welcome to be saved tonight. He's done for me in 2019. Started off the year having a baby January 6th, and it was such a blessing because after I had my third child, Azariah, who was 10 pounds, 11 ounces, 24 inches long, and right after I had him, the doctor was like, "Your babies keep getting bigger. You just can't have another one naturally. Like this one almost didn't make it, and you just can't do it." And she was already trying to say I'm gonna have more kids and stuff. And I'm like, I just had a baby. And lo and behold, here come Miles. But once we found out the news, I got before God, and I said, God, I want to have a smaller child this time. I want you to do this. You know, I know you can. And God did that for us. He was 7 pounds, 14 ounces. God just really blessed the labor and delivery. They were so respectful toward us and what we wanted to do and how we wanted things to be done. And it just was amazing how God worked it out, and went through some different tests and trials, went through some things in my body this last year that I thought I'd never go through, some of the pain I went through in my body, but God touched me. And I was thinking about how I went when I was going through it, like, God, I'm going through this for a reason. I want you to take me higher, and and God did that. He gave me, I had been praying for boldness, and I was like, when I was facing the trial, I was like, God, this is how I got to get my boldness in my experience. So I was like, God, you can help me. And he did. He's given me boldness. He's given me victory in my experience. He's given me a deeper appreciation, a deeper love for this truth. It's like, sometimes it's like you love God. It's like God can just give you more love for him and preach more appreciation. I thank God so much for where he's brought me, for where I'm at today. Continue to pray for me. I'm expecting more in 2020. I'm looking forward to what God has done. And, oh my. Well, you know what I mean. But I thank God for the peace I have it settled in my soul. Whatever God brings my way, I'm willing to do what he'd have for me. Continue praying for me.
Well, bless the Lord.
I want to thank God for my salvation and
What a year.
how he saved me on New Year's Eve 2011, coming up on 8 years. I appreciate God so much for that and the change that has taken place in my life. And I remember just really counting the cost right before my baptism. It was like 2 weeks after I got saved, which kind of sounds a little weird, but it was really like the weight of it was like, can I really do this? It was like, okay, yes, I'm saved, but it was like, can I really do this? Can I really live this life? And I just remember driving out to our apartment, and God was just right there, just giving me the grace. And it's just here I am now, saved and sanctified, and just so happy in my experience. And it's I don't have, when someone may look at me okay, you don't have a home of my own. I don't have a car of my own. I don't even have a job, but I'm still happy to be saved. I mean, it's just money cannot buy the things that I feel. It's just it's only God that can just give me what I need in my salvation. And just talking to Brother Mark in Springfield, and he was just Bessie, don't go too far, because it was just yes, I know God sanctified me, but this, and he's Bessie, don't go too far to the left. He was you will still kind of be bothered by things, you'll still this, that, and the other. But I'm he's long as your spirit, long as your motives, everything is just lined up, he's you good. And I'm just pray for me. And he did that. And I just appreciate God so much for that. I thank God how he's helping us in the home. My father just bearing the load of me and Ali. I appreciate him so much for that. And I was just feeling my dad had bought a new vehicle, and he was getting ready to get the Infinity. So I was pretty much just settled whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'll just get to church. And how he was here, you can take the new truck. And I was driving this new truck, and I'm Dad, this is not right. I do not feel right driving your new truck, and you still drive your own truck. And he's Bessie, I don't care about that. Here. And I was just God, thank you for that. And it was I really had to settle it though. All the things that my father is doing for us, my reliance is not on him. My reliance is definitely on God. If things fall or whatever, I'm just Lord, I'm still going to be saved. Wherever I end up, wherever we end up, I'm still going to be saved. And how he's helping us with the homeschooling. It seems every day it's just let's go, Ali, come on. And it's even things that I forgot. It's God is just bringing it back to my memory to teach Ali in 2nd grade and just get him going. And things are getting better. Saints are coming up to me Ali, somebody calm down, somebody's doing a little better. And I appreciate God for that. I'm just encouraged, saints. Oh my goodness, another year still saved. I'm just so happy. I think God has given me a burden just to play. It's just going to be wonderful. I'm just wow, God, we really want to just show forth the wickedness, the simpleness of sin. Really, we just want to really show forth the simpleness of sin. And I feel like if they see it, like if they really just present it to them, that they'll realize like, wow, that's foolishness. Wow, I need to change, you know? And I'm just really praying for it, really have a burden for my family, hoping that they come out. And just even thinking back all that my sister went through with the loss of her child's father, and how God carried us through that, and how he gave me boldness to go to that funeral with her. And it was just such a fearfulness, like, y'all gonna go to the funeral, y'all gonna go, and how I was able to just tell my sister, like, I believe in God. I'm like, I believe God will take us down there. He has control over life and death, and how we were able to go and just make it back home safely without any problems. I mean, a little bit here and there, but it was just like, God just blessed. This has been a year, but I'm so happy to be saved and encouraged.
She can go and then you next, okay? Okay. Go ahead, Bob.
Thank God for my salvation tonight, and sitting down reflecting on so many different situations, and I always felt that I was really weak, but through these different situations, God has really toughened me up. I appreciate it. I realize that everything that I have gone through He's preparing me for heaven. As I reflect back, it won't be as long as it has been. I don't believe that. And I want to make heaven with all my heart. I remember after I went through the situation with Camilla, Sister Cox told me, oh, after this, you're good. But really, she was so wrong. Just looked like one thing after the other, back to back to back, month after month, year after year, things that I never thought I would have to even deal with in this present world. It befell my life. But I can say that I'm happy anyway. I want to let the devil know today that I'm happy anyway. And in spite of the situation, in spite of how it looks, in spite of how it is, in spite of how it seems, I'm still happy in the Lord anyway. I thank God. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know God is watching me. He watched me way back in 2019, way back, because when the clock chimes midnight, I'll be entering into my 34th year of salvation. I appreciate God, but it's not me. It was God. It was the prayers of the saints. I appreciate each and every one of you. I mean that from the very depths of my soul. I ask that you continue to pray for me because I'm very much encouraged. Serve the Lord.
I just wanted to share that I'm happy I'm saved.
Amen.
Me being so young, there's a lot of people that try to shift me to do things that I know isn't right. And I've been trying to choose the right things to do.
That's right.
And before I was saved, I kept putting it aside. My family always told me, I was always around that I was always in church. But I always put getting saved aside. I said I would do it later, or this year, or next time I was
my
saved.
Lord, my mind.
And I had a friend, and he ended up with brain cancer. He passed. And I realized that the next day isn't promised to me either.
Oh, Lord.
And that I needed to get saved as soon as possible. And in 5th grade, I went to a Bible camp, and I finally stood up, and one of the people who were there pulled me aside, and I got saved that day. I just wanted to share that I'm happy that I'm saved now, and that I can be here with my family and my grandma who brought me down here.
Thank God for my salvation. It ain't been that long. 3 years is not a long time. For me, though, it is. I'm just looking back in them 3 years, where the Lord has brought me from.
brought me and mine a long way. I don't think like I used to. I got here in a funny way. But the beautiful thing is I got here. It wasn't about just getting to Jackson. I got to the Church of God.
My Lord,
I got a home over there on High Street in Cooper. Was that South Baptist Church over there? Yeah. Me and this young man, I'm from Stephen. We played football, went to junior high school, graduated. Mm-hmm. And that's like a buddy of mine. I went to his church one time. And I went to his church one time, let's leave it like that. So I was still looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I got here. And I ain't been looking for 2 months since. I said when I came through that door, I ain't going nowhere. Pastor Hampton had an aura about himself, like he was just in command. You know, he talked. I mean, this is commercial back in the day. I remember saying, "Yeah, I talk to everybody." Pastor Hampton talk about this. Wait, because he had so much wisdom, and he was an older man, and he just had that. He was just man, a godly man. I remember he say, "Stay in your watchtower." I also remember him saying, "Husbands, listen to your wives." I've talked to a lot of gentlemen here, and I've heard a lot of testimonies for the females that have just opened my eyes to a lot of things. I read, I think that was Friday, I read the back of the Bible and how it says how the enjoyment of reading the Bible is, the stories and all stuff. And we do a whole lot of things, but it's nothing like reading that word. Testimonies are great, but it's nothing like reading that word. I thank God he's opened my eyes to understand a lot more of what I'm reading. And you understand what you read, you're able to apply it. So if you apply it, you live it. So I came here. I got saved. I was listening to some of the brothers who did some great advice, put their money in their wings. Brother Nathan told me, he said, if you don't progress, you'll regress. Which lets me know you can't just stay saved. You got to get saved. I didn't really know that when I got here. I thought getting saved, hey man, you know, that's it. I'm straight, but I'm not straight. I got a pastor and Brother Lee who you come here Friday, this seems like a Sunday. You did a sermon Friday and teaching like a Sunday. But when he did this last Friday thing after sanctification, he's giving us every step of the map to get sanctified. We as saints cannot just be hearers of the word, but doers of the word. Brother Johnny, Brother Charles, Brother Breedlove, one time I texted him something, and something about some encouragement. He said, man, read Psalm 34. So I'm just going to expound on it a little bit. Psalm 34, number 1 says, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continue to be in my mouth. 4 says, I sought the Lord and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears. 6, this poor man cried out. I replaced that. Wrong kid cried out. The Lord heard me and he saved me out of all my troubles. Come on. The angel of the Lord encamped around about them that fear him and delivered them. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him. Oh, fear the Lord, ye his saints, for there is no want to them that fear him. Thank you, Brother Lee. I done tasted. I've seen the Lord's good. I've been on both sides. I was tasting the devil's, and I thought that was good. Well, I found out that it wasn't. But it was almost too late because fellowship meeting I came to was here. And Brother Tony came from California, Brother Mark Brooks came from Columbus, from Georgia. And all pastors met up, and all congregations met up, and Brother Mark talked about that flood. I hear Brother Lee talking about people when they get ready to go on the scene, they say, well, you know, I ain't gonna go across this, I'm gonna go this far right. I ain't going this far that. But they don't understand. You ain't got no control once you step off. Once you make that first step, you don't have no control. See, because they're like, see, you took the first step, like, oh, so I'm gonna reel you on in a little further, a little deeper. Brother Lee did that analogy when that guy was up there, one of the saints was up there tangling around that rope. You just keep getting tangled more deeply engrossed in that web or that spider. So again, the Lord's brought me a mighty long way. I really love where I'm at. I thank God for the wisdom He's given me. I have a lot to say. We got a little bit of it. But one thing I know is this here. Being saved is a great thing, but it can't touch being sanctified. We have ministry that's teaching. We sit on the fruit here, and I thank God for it. I have the pleasure of going to the Battle Creek men's shelter meetings with Brother Frank and Brother Terrell. And I love doing that and going and being part of that. I mean, these gentlemen get up in there, man. I'm up in there with some people such as myself. I told that in my testimony, I've been at that shelter before. I've been at the Battle Creek shelter. So I've been with the gentlemen, and we come in with real testimonies. Hey man, we ain't no better than y'all. We did our things in our life, but that was then. Over time, look at us now. If He did it for you, if He did it for me, He'll do it for you. So that's why the testimonies here are so vital and so huge, because I heard some people really almost talk about no hope, but then they keep on going, they keep on listening. Oh, but God. You know what I'm saying? And he pulls them out that miry clay, in that deep pit they were in. Whatever block the devil put in the front of them, he'll knock that wall down, and he'll show them how to go around it, under, or whatever. But he takes that, he just makes it right. On the journey I've been on, I'm going through some trials. I ain't no different than nobody else. I can't say everyone I've gone through right, but lately, and I thank God for it, I'm making sure that I'm crossing all my T's, dotting all my I's, and praying that the Lord allow me to go through right. Amen. Sometimes we have to be very careful of patting ourselves on the back too much. I've done it in the past, and it led me to relapsing and going back out of the world. I don't want to get too complacent. That's why I think we need to stay in the watchtowers. That's why I need to self-examine myself. And I have no problem doing that. Right now, I think I'm almost free. But that's good. Because I also learned here, too, to stay low. I'm doing some things, but it's not easy to do it. The Lord has allowed me to do it. The Lord's given me the ability to do it. So I never cease to give Him all the praise and glory He deserves. It's a song that we sing. We sing many, but it's one that really I take to heart, because in my life, I have messed over so many people, and taken and dogged out so many people, and took from so many people. I was a very, very, very selfish person. And if I want to get in that deal, I want to be around that. But now I'm not that same person. I like to help people. And I think what I've done is, sometimes I think I might bite out more than I should, more than I should. That song says, the battle is not yours, but mine, says the Lord. It humbles me and brings me back to the point. There's a lot of things that I might have the ambition or the desire to do. But if it ain't God's will, and He ain't directing my path to do that, I probably shouldn't be doing it. My Lord. I know the Bible says something too about, talking about the person like, okay, look here, my father died and I got to go bury him. And he was like, let the dead bury the dead. So the other person like, well look, I want to go tell my family I'm getting ready to take off on this journey. And he said, for the person who puts his hand to the plow and look back, he ain't fit for the master, something like that. But I just thank God for where He's got me today. Because there wasn't too many end of December. I wouldn't be nowhere near no church. I wouldn't have the mind that I have. I wouldn't be living where I live and loving where I live and wanting more. Now the Bible teaches us to be But I ain't where I want to be. I want to be sanctified. Brother Lee, when Friday, you were saying that your little ambitions that you want, give them up. I thought about that. I'm thinking about my own sister. There's a few things that I want to accomplish in life. But now I realize it ain't worth me getting sanctified. That's more important. And as Brother Juan said, if you do that, if you let go on that God, and if you seek ye first the kingdom of God, all his righteousness, all these things shall be added unto you. Some things I think that I'm trying to do on my own. I'm really coming to the realization that I'm really kind of wasting time because what I can do for me, God can do it tenfold. So I ask that y'all continue to pray for me. And help me to stay, I want to stay humble, stay low. And I'm just going to wait for the Lord to give me.
I didn't want to leave 2019 without giving God thanks for all the things that he had done when I sit listening to different testimonies and reflecting on things that he had done. It's like I almost forgot that he had taken me through some of those situations. This year it seemed like I faced more physical afflictions in my body and children and different things that I had faced in almost all the 11 years of being around the church. So that was the most difficult thing, but it was teaching me a different level of faith. And after Pastor Hampton died, it was like, who do we look to as far as to be able to lean on and stuff like that? And the devil was giving me different fears of like, well, Brother Lee is too young. You know, you can't trust him the same way that you can trust Brother Hampton, or he hasn't been through this or that. But it was just the way it was. And I was having a situation with my esophagus. And when Brother Lee prayed and my faith took hold, it was like, I believe that I'm going to be healed. And even though I couldn't eat or drink properly without it hurting or almost being able to do it at all, my faith took hold. And it was like, now I know, this was before he became pastor. It was like almost a test to say, okay, now you can trust him. You know, God is going to give him a different type of anointing when he's your pastor than he was when he was your minister. And, you know, Brother Lee and I have known each other since I was born, because we used to be down in his basement at his parents' house. So when I got in trouble out of not saved and stuff like that, he helped me after he had got saved. But just different things like that. So it was God giving me a different trust to believe that he was confirming Brother Lee as the pastor. And so that was another thing he took me through. And just helping me as a father to be able to let go and of things that I always want to put my, that I was putting my hand to try to make sure things would be okay for my family. Not saying I'm neglecting, but just learning how to cast things away and say, God said, I have it. It's in my hands. And I'm going to take care of it. And I lost a lot of what I felt I built up as a businessman for my shop. It was like, you got to let it go. Yes, sir. And that was probably the hardest one. Wow. Because I put so much of my physical effort into it to make it go. And I remember hearing Sister Robinson's testimony saying, well, I told God, if I lose my business, if my children, my husband, all that go away, I'm still trusting you. And that thing rained so hard to me. Just giving it up with God.
Yeah.
It was like I was losing a part of my manhood that I had established myself to be. You know, you can walk in a place and people say, oh, you own this or you do that. And so it makes me feel accomplished. So I can actually take a back seat and follow somebody else was more difficult to me than a lot. So you know, with some things. So, I had to look at what he took. He took a lot of stress and burdens that I had to carry, you know, to provide for other people. And just said, spend that with your family and strengthen it.
Yes, sir.
So I really thank God for giving me this transition in life. You know, more maturing individual. But I also said, well, maybe I can help more people in this position than I could in my business, you know. And so I endeavored to do that, you know, by holding a position, a holder, whatever is there, but just helping me to be there for the saints more and doing things to help other people as well. And I just want to thank him for all the situations he took me through this year.
1 year, brother. Amen. 2019.
Evening, saints. I want to tell and give God thanks for what he's done for me. 2019, coming up on 7 years being saved. And that's going to happen in 2020, man, by the grace of God. I was just kind of reflecting back on how I really meant to be saved. You know, when I heard from my little brother when he was, you know, he was witnessing to me, and my brother and my cousin Sumi was just breaking down, witnessing to us and letting us know basically we need to get our lives right, and it really struck me, you know. And I remember just driving back from Toledo, and just thinking and processing, just like, man, I need to be saved. I need to be saved. And I was just thinking as I was going into it, I was thinking about my children. I was thinking about my daughter. You know, I was thinking about Brooklyn. And I was like, man, I don't want her to see me like this. You know, and it's like who I was like a phony. You know, it's not really who I wanted to be. You know, and I got back and I remember going upstairs to that bathroom, and I said, man, I need to be saved. And God had dealt with me specifically. It's like, it was so clear. He's like, you're not going to get saved for your daughter. That's going to come. He said, but you're going to get saved for yourself. You're going to get saved for yourself. And then he just, it's like before the scriptures even opened, he showed me. You know, he showed me the depth of me and everything that I was going to be, everything that I was, everything that I did, and how far away I was from God. And I was just sitting there like, Lord, and I just remember just pouring out to God. I remember calling Sumi. I said, man, I need to be saved right now. I don't know what you're doing. I didn't care what he was doing at that time. I said, I need you. And then he ended up calling Brother Lee, and then we had a breakthrough over the phone. I remember coming back to Jackson the next day. It was Monday night service. I remember that was going forth, and he was praying, and we got prayer afterwards again. And then I left that day. I had this determination. I still have it. I remember, I'm like, Sumi, you have to come with me. You know, and he was probably thinking like, what? You know, I got to work. And he did have to work, and I had to work too. I was like, man, you have to come. You have to leave Jackson and come with me and help me get settled. You know, and all these different terminologies wasn't with me at the time, but I knew what I needed. You know, I knew exactly what I needed. I said, man, you have to do this for me. And man, he just sacrificed his time. He came up to Toledo. We digging in the word. I had questions. I had different things. I mean, I felt like I was just having breakthrough after breakthrough. God was just showing me different things. And the more he showed me, the more I was pouring out to him. Like, Lord, I need this. I don't want whatever this is to leave me. I need you to seal this thing up. And I remember we was calling Brother Hampton late, and he was saying to me, Brother Hampton, I said, man, I need this. I was like, I need this. And Brother Hampton picked up, I know he was, you know, I didn't want to be disrespectful, but I needed to be saved. I needed to be saved. He would pick up and he would just spend that time with me. Brother Hernan would spend time with me in the prayer services. And all these different things was going on. And then that day, the third day, I told him, I said, that's it, man. I said, you can go. I'm done because I'm determined. I know that I have it. I know that I have it. And ever since that day, you know, went through different particular trials. God brought my wife in, saved her, sanctified her, gave me a piece of me that I needed. You know, gave me a real piece of me that I needed. And I was just sitting here thinking, like, I hear the comments, but I was sitting here thinking, like, there's really nothing like a church of God wife, you know, and there's, she's grown, you know, she's grown, and I see it, and she's become such a help me that's like, man, I really need you, you know, I really need you by my side. And I was just sitting here thinking like how God gave me everything that I did not deserve. You know, I told the saints this over and over and over, but God gave me everything I didn't deserve, and we're going through our different tests and our different trials throughout the years, and God's just been blessing. Opportunities have been coming. This particular year has just been a little different year, but like for me, it was more like not long-standing battles, but just these little short battles here and there. And it seemed like the devil was just trying to mess with my mind, you know, trying to cause fear, doubt, uncertainty, all these different things. But I feel that God has given me a consistent battle throughout the whole 2019. And I can just reflect on that. It's like I didn't leave nothing back. I feel within my soul, there's nothing that, everything that I wanted to accomplish in 2019 is one household thing that I still need to get done. But everything other than that, spiritually, that I wanted to accomplish, God gave it to me. You know, He gave it to me, and it's like, as I was going through a particular trials and tests in my mind, it was like God would send different forms of inspiration. It'd be different forms of inspiration. And just to give you an example, I would get encouraged through the young people that's under us. And we're going to have to redefine young people soon.
Very.
We're getting up there. But I would see, like, Justice and Ben, even RJ coming out, saying, like, these kids is making salvation look attractive. It's making it look attractive. And then brother was preaching that message, like, don't give up the battle. I was exhorting to the brother the other day, like, everything that we have right now, saints, especially the young people, everything that we have, we inherited this ground. This ground, this nothing that we didn't settle this ground. We inherited this ground. To be able to sit up under this gospel, to be able to have fellowship and everything, to be able to sit and have a plan, and then you got other people coming up under this. He said you have to fight for everything. Everything, the ground that you have now, you have to fight for. And I was just sitting here, just being encouraged, like, man, I'm going to fight for this because, and brother had encouraged me a while ago. He said, man, one day, Justice and them, they're going to be exhorting JR. I'm like, man, that's right, man. I got to keep holding on to this thing. I have to keep on fighting for this thing because somebody going to need to, when I'm gone, somebody going to need to exhort to them. Yeah. Somebody going to need to break down to them and show them that salvation is fun. Salvation is salvation. There's no other place in the world to have a young person be than in the church of God and have a real experience. You don't have all these different temptations coming your way. You don't have all these different things. You got temptations, but certain temptations that because the prayer of your mother, the upbringing, she kept you from all those things. You get to have that in salvation. So I just thank God for what He's done for me personally. And then the last thing, I felt like He has really made me a better husband this year in 2019. It's because in certain things, and to this day, certain things meet. I don't feel like I'm the only one, but sometimes I feel like I'm the only one. Some stuff I just do not understand about women.
And never will.
And I'm trying to explain this the best way I can because I remember certain days I'm praying, I'm like, Lord, and I'm trying to have an understanding of why she feels this way or this, whatever. And I remember it was some nights I would call Brother Pitts. And Brother Pitts would, he'd be late night, like, Brother Pitts, I need your help. And he said, he didn't try to make up an answer, but he was just saying, you know what, you need to be able to understand, you need to be able to listen. He said, but honestly, Brother Terrell, he said, if any man lacketh wisdom, ask of God. And he said, you're going to have to get that from God. And it was just, God really helped us in our relationship this year. Like, He really took our relationship to another level. She was going through in her body, and it was some things that I had to straighten out. I had to straighten out this little thing that I had, and the devil was trying to make me feel a type of way, and I had to get that straightened out. And ever since that day, it's like, man, like, God, you've been blessing. And I'm sitting, I'm like, everything she do is good. You know,
That's right.
Amen. I'm not exaggerating, amen. I'm not exaggerating. What she does is good, and it's just a blessing to my soul that I really feel like she is really my help me. And it's like certain things that initially I feel like I would have to explain, or certain things I would have to give her like a warning or this. I'm like, her discernment is growing in the church of God. And her understanding is like, I don't even have to, I know I don't even have to say, she gonna see it. She gonna see certain things. And I'm like, man, and then she challenges me, and I'm like, to be able to have this experience where the experience that I grew up, I watched my mom go in a prayer closet. I wake up in the morning, my mom is praying. I go to the bathroom later that night, my mom is praying. I hear my mom praying. It's like I come home from work, my wife is praying. I wake up in the morning, my wife is praying. She's somewhere praying. And it's like my kids are seeing the same thing. Wow. My children are seeing the same thing. And it's going to be a certain level of grace that's going to be in our house because my wife is in the house. And it's such a blessing to me. And so God said, look, you have to take care of that. You have to take care of that. You have to do whatever you have to do, sacrifice, do whatever you have to do to keep this type of church of God home going. So in 2020, I mean to carry that home. Everything that God has given me in 2019, I feel that I need to carry this on in 2020. So saints, I need your prayers. I appreciate you for all that you've done. It's good to see the saints. It's always good to see the saints.
I'd like to thank the Lord for, before 2019, I had a real tough battle.
My Lord.
And, I mean, it was just so terrible that I would get desperate, and I'd ask the little ones in the church, please pray for Sister Bradshaw. And I'd ask young people, would you remember Sister Bradshaw? You know, and I would call even the older people on the phone, I need you to pray for me. I have something serious. I can't tell what it is, but please remember me. And I want to thank every one of you. The younger, or I got so desperate, I said to my baby, I said, Ari, would you please pray for Grandma? And he prayed for me. I appreciate that. But anyway, I want to let you all know I really, really appreciate it. And God is helping me. He's helping me, and I just appreciate God for that. He's answered your prayers, and I appreciate that. I don't know, is there any other, or we'll turn it over to our pastor.
We're good.
Okay. Is that, you have some announcements?